Okay, today what graced our doorstep, I'll just do a quick video on. This is a Emerson Funai, in this case Emerson 2011 32-inch flat panel LC320EM2. A little dirty. Didn't want to pay the $5 recycling fee, so let's take a look at what's going on. I haven't even plugged this in yet as I researched some of the symptoms. Blown fuse. I'm looking at, I'm going to test a couple of these components. I had an Emerson and I just had to replace one of the Zener diodes, and it's been running ever since. It will run without it. Some of the sets left it out of the manufacturer, but we'll look at this guy here and test a few of the components, just change what's necessary. So a quick diode check here. I just have diode continuity. This component's most likely shorted. I'll have to get a lift a leg and see. This Q601 here reads short. We'll know once we find the defective component, but it's between this diode, D607, Q601, the transistor itself, and D610 looks like the culprits. The bridge rectifiers are fine. Okay, so far on our Funai Emerson board here, I've tested, yes, Q600 here is bad. That's the N-channel MOSFET field effect transistor. We have a diode marked 48. That's just a Schottedy, am I saying that right? That's just a... Nah, it's just a diode. Not worried about it. Over here's a 27 volt Zener diode, and that's shorted. So that's D604, 27 volt Zener. The switching transistor itself, and this 48 diode. No, it's not a 1N40, 148. It just says 48, which I am going to assume is like a BAT 48. That's also a Schottedy. Anyway, over here on the transistor Q610, is it? Let me just take a quick peek here. The little signal one here. No, 601. Q600 is bad. 601 is a small signal transistor I have in the vise there, and I did some junction tests, and it tests good on one junction, but the other junction tests funky. I don't really trust this Radio Shack tester much either, but it's saying it's bad, so I'm just going to throw a 2N anything in there. That's an NPN. Oh, anything that's close. That's an NPN. That's Q601. And the one on the bottom, D645, is another Schottedy. No, is that a... No, that one checks okay, that Zener. Well, that Zener tests okay. No, the one on the bottom is this Schottedy, this SK2B. 2 amp diode here on the bottom. This is, in fact, bad. So I'll just throw some... I'm not going to use a service mount. I am not... Over online, you can buy a kit for $25, but... We're just going to take some parts out of any old thing over here and toss it in here. We're not spending $25 on this. Looking over this board that's already been pillaged pretty much. I see we have one of those dual diode packages here, which can be used in the horizontal section there. The horizontal lock section of television. So I think that's why I took this in the first place. But over here we have a K2837, a little bit of overkill. But this could be our switching transistor for the heatsink here. I may or may not use that. I don't know. It's a little big, but it will replace this one, no problem. This has about much more current. It should be fine. Well, our first transistor I plucked out, scavenged out of this board. It's just a little light duty. It's smaller, obviously, but it's only like 200 milliwatt. The other one's like 800 milliwatt, almost a watt. So. Though it's an NPN, we'll keep looking. Okay, the heck with this. We don't have all the time in the world to spend on this. What's the chances? I needed one 27 volt Zener diode. And the first Zener I pick out of here, right there in that section, that Zener diode right there. Here's a 27 volt Zener diode. I'm going to throw that in there next. And it's a little overkill, but the other transistor I found in this little switching power supply was too underrated for what we need, so it matches physically, but it doesn't have enough power dissipation. So we'll go ahead and we'll put Mr. Overkill in here. I've just slid the leads through the slot there and attached them on the bottom. We'll add our diode. We'll change. And this Scoctity, I just put one of the fast switching silicons in there for now. I'm going to fire this thing up. We're going to get a small signal transistor. This one here is too light duty, so I could stick it in there, but I'm going to just try to find something more suitable. Okay, we've gone down the list. We've replaced everything but the fuse. F601. D610 is a zener, tested okay. 604 is a zener, 27 volt. Q600 was bad. R608 I'm not, that was okay. D640. We put the silicon in. I know it's not right, but that's fine. Get the NPN for Q601. I did stick that little light duty in for testing. And the BAT48 D607. And the D645 checked okay. So let's fire this thing up, see what it does. Okay, back outside. I have the proper fuse, but I just wanted to go attack a little 4 amp fuse or whatnot on across that. Just have some fuse. I happen to have an Emerson remote, as I'm running an Emerson myself that I found with a one shorted zener diode. Let's plug this sucker in and kill or cure here. Hopefully it's more cure. There's power. No kaboom. Let's turn it on. Find the remote. I don't know where to turn it on. Top. Oh, our fuse blew. Okay, I noticed I was running with a 3 amp fuse, and perhaps it didn't like our big 2SK device here, so I put in that lighter duty switching power supply transistor. It's got short legs. I can't mount it. I've just fastened it with the screw, kind of cockeyed there. And I've applied power. Fuse doesn't blow. Maybe the fuse blew because I'm a 3 amp fuse. I don't know. Maybe I overlooked something with the other component. But here's the power here. I hit power. And I don't know if you can see through the dust, but HDMI 2. Okay, so it's running. It's on. So there's a repair. There's a repair, a $0 repair. Let's undo the AC here. See how warm that transistor got. Oh, it's hot to the touch. So maybe we'll mount that. That's underrated, that transistor. Perhaps we'll find a more suitable one. There you have it. That's the repair of the Funai with just scraps from around the house. Okay, I don't understand why. According to, I rechecked the specs. Oh, I know we chipped this a little bit. This should work. But of course, when you take parts out of dead power supplies to begin with, it doesn't test shorted. None of the components shorted. But there happens to be another 2837 here. Maybe we'll stick this one in there and see what happens. And then I can at least run the set. Okay, I've gone ahead and taken out our little tester light duty switching transistor, and I've put the other humongous MOSFET in there. And I was thinking while I was doing it, they both read the same. Testing. So in our infinite wisdom here, there's something wrong. There was something wrong with this, and I wonder if any of you could spot it. This transistor is all plastic. It can be mounted to the heatsink, no problem. This, on the other hand, not so much. Metal heatsink. We're going to keep that away from there, and if I do mount it, I'll use one of those little rubber insulators or something on that. Let's give it a try. Okay, I have this mounted back in. I have that away from the heatsink. We'll apply AC power and watch that fuse this time. No fuse. No fusey pop. Hit power. Won't leave it on for too long. And I don't see anything. Are you on? Input? HDMI? Anybody? Have everybody attached here? Power down. Transistor is cold. We are plugged in. This is power. We have all our cables attached. So flimsy, I'm afraid to... Yeah, it's on. Okay. Now, there we go. We can use our humungi. Just can't have it touch that heatsink. We'll button this up. Okay. Oh, this transistor here. I'm not sure if I want to keep... I don't think that's going to be a big deal. How warm is he getting? He's not even warm to the touch yet. Okay, that's going to do it for the repair of the Funai Emerson. We'll button this thing back up and get it back to the owner. Going through the stash here, I found some similar transistors like this. MOSFET N channel, probably could have used him. I was hoping to find the a mica insulator in here, but no, so we're going to have to just keep hunting around for an insulator. Okay, we have mica insulators, every mica insulator except the one we need. You perhaps use one of these and trim it, or not trim it, just slap that in there. Or what I was saying is these rubber, I could throw some compound on there, I suppose, try that. Okay, I was just going to take one of these TO220 micas and just slide it there with some new heatsink compound. But this here is what I'm talking about. I could take the one off of here and just use this pad. Not sure yet. And I'm sure we can find a transistor for that underrated one, but I may just leave that. Here we can see what these transistors here are. We'll find a transistor for that. I was going to go with our old friend 2SC945 just based on its physical shape and all, but we have a closer match with what's in there. The current rating is closer, I think 500 versus 800 milliamps or something, so we're just going to leave this, leave that transistor in there. I've gone ahead and attached the insulator to that, and we'll just button it up and put this thing back together. Okay, here's what we're going to do about the fuse situation. The component is mounted, that should be fine. Of all the stash, I know I have 4 amp here somewhere, but I have 3.15, we'll call it 3.2, 6.3, 10, 3. Most folks would just go with the 6. So I think what I'm going to do is, it runs on the 3. I'd rather have it underrated than overrated, and I'll, as soon as I come across a 4 amp fuse, I'll pass it along to the owner or install it. And I did find a stash of Radio Shack transistors, and these transistors are 600 milliamps, so we're not really gaining anything. That would be a little closer match. 2N222, etc. 4401, but any event, we'll just keep him right there. That's that guy right there. Okay, we'll just give one quick look over the board. There's our diode that's replacing the surface mount. I'll just leave the surface mount. Well, that fell off. That was where our surface mount was. Cleaned up the solder around there. Install a 3.15 fuse. And we have our insulator. Let's go out, try it out. If it works, we're going to button this up. I think I'm just getting caught up in the logic here. When you power it up, it may not show the red light. You introduce the power again and you have the red light, because now with the heatsink attached, I hit power. And it's up. I'm going to monitor this. Here's our input. Off. Red light. On. Flashing. I checked connections. All the connections are fine. Let's check the voltage on that Zener diode just for the heck of it there, the 27 volt that we guessed at. Alright, let's try right here. I may have a bad ground, I don't know, I have no voltage there. don't have voltage anywhere. Well, the TV is running still. I have no voltage on that transistor. And no voltage on, maybe that's a standby? I don't know. I'm getting no voltage measurements around here. I don't know what the deal is. There's 25 volts over there. Nothing to... So maybe the diode isn't quite right in this turn-on circuit. I don't know, but I'm going to leave it at that. Here's a zener over here. 5 volt. There's zener over here. Nothing. I'll turn the power off. Yeah, I don't quite understand that. Power off over here. Power's off over here. Let's turn the set back on. I have flashing red light. I got my 25 volts over here. So I don't know. Let's just check the heat of the heatsink here. That's cool. I'll let this thing run a while. So here we are all put back together, and I seem to have noticed the first time on my Emerson when I plug it in, that light may not always come on, but it always does the second time. So I'm just going to say that's the way this thing is. We'll turn it on. And let's feed it some input. We're going to return it with the dust. Let's hook an antenna up to it and see what happens. Let's get an antenna. Here's my Emerson. It's virtually the same model, it's just a bigger screen. But and there's the red light in the corner, and the same thing when I turn it on. It flashes and then comes on. But I did notice on occasion with this that the light was out, and all I simply did was reapply power, and it was okay. So just a thing with those, or what? Oh boy, we're up to 33 channels.
So the key is we're going to add some fresh breadcrumbs because that really helps the filling stay nice and creamy.
It's daylight out here. I don't know if the eco is on this or...
And then we're going to take these fresh breadcrumbs and stir it right into
Eco
1
off.
cup of whole milk ricotta. So now we're going to add the pecorino, and this is half a cup of finely...
Scan through this. This has a weak remote, these Emersons. I don't know why.
Try now.
Well, Love American Style on Decades. I don't know if you guys get that channel. Decades. They do binge series.
Mom, Dad. Yeah.
Info.
Unpack.
Oh, yeah, unpack. No, we can't.
Yes, you can. No, we can't. Why not? Because we never did pack.
As we count down to decades.
Okay, so it plays a little better now with the inch of dirt off of it. Okay, we'll call that a wrap for the Emerson Funai. Prepared with parts from old power supplies. One thing I did notice I want to mention is a lot of the transistors have more powerful ratings, so even though you keep the old stuff lying around, a lot of the ratings of the parts just don't match up to today's devices. These things are higher current and the same package, and you know, just run into that. But this should be fine. I don't anticipate any problems with this thing. And those are the list of the components we changed. Again, it was D604, the Zener, 27 volt, D640, which is the SK2B. We put a regular silicone in there. Silicon. Q607 was the NPN, the little one. The glass diode was a D607, that BAT48. And the D610, which was a 30. No, D610 was okay. The Q600, the K10A50D, was replaced with one of those big transistors, MOSFETs out of a, I believe that was a power supply from a junked copier. Thanks for watching.